That's nice. 75 extra grams of carbs added in, so I'm like, oh.
You know you're dieting when that's awesome.
That's when you know you're in the shit, when you're like, oh my God, yes.
That's a cup and a half of rice.
It's like a cup and a half, yeah. Almost two.
Almost, dude. I'm living a life, woo.
Are my nipples showing? Should I hide my nipples? Is this okay? Can you see my nipples? Testing 1, 2, can you see my nipples? And you perfectly describe like my mentality right now, because this is my first pro debut. I have no experience to see where I fall in line with all these other really high level competitors. So I'm like, oh, I just want to go, you know what I mean? I want to be ready tomorrow.
Yeah. At this rate, there's like 30, 40 dudes in that show.
Yeah.
You want to stand out somehow, right, and conditioning is one way to go about it.
I used to have a teacher in my ex-phys class. He'd always say, the joy is in the journey. And it took me a while. He'd say it all the time, and I didn't realize that the word joy is literally in the word journey. Like, it just, you know, kind of clicked in my meathead brain one day, and I was like, oh.
It just clicked in my meathead brain.
Man, you can spell joy and journey.
It literally just clicked in my meathead brain.
You have to remind yourself to be in the moment, because or else, like, why do this, right? It's like I think that we look back at the suffering fondly because we knew we grew from it.
That's true.
So that's kind of what it is. But at the moment, it's hard to remind yourself of that, because you're just thinking about how much it sucks to be hungry all the time.
That's coming from someone who's hungry. That was one of those situations where I got like so excited that, oh, it's my first pro show. I have no expectations whatsoever. I mean, there was a name on the list that said Bumstead on that list, I think. So I wasn't like expecting anything, but I just wanted to know like where I belonged in the IFBB basically. So I pushed, like we started prep for like I think almost 20 weeks out, and I was just going. 8 weeks out, I was like more than ready to go, and I had to hold that for like that long. That it was, no, don't get me wrong, I was in shape, but like I was done. Like mentally, I was done, just done. Now I got to the show. I think I got fourth, and Bumstead won that show. But after that show, I was so done that I got home, and all I could see was just food. Just, my body was like, all right, we're done with this. It's time to eat. And yeah, I just never learned how to pace myself, where it's just not go, go, go. It's almost like, oh, at this point you need to be here, at this point you need to be here, and then we finish off, and then you're ready on stage, not ready 2 weeks before stage. So like, I mean, it was a fun experience in there, but it was also like a learning thing where I had to kind of like learn some things. That's why whenever I saw your progress pictures, like I was like, holy crap, this dude's like, he's got striated glutes already, and I'm like looking at him like, what the hell? Like I'm not even close to being there. So it was almost like one of those things where I'm like, are you getting that feeling of like, oh, I'm about to pass out any minute now, or is this more?
So it was like that at the beginning, but I think right now it hasn't been too bad, just because I've been upping the food a little bit. But I'm kind of used to feeling like it almost feels wrong to me if I'm not suffering, like if I'm not getting lightheaded in the mornings or something like that, because I'm just so used to it, and I'm legitimately not even trying to be funny, because like that's just like I'm used to making a 245 weight cap, and I sit, you know, 285. So now, you know, this year I have that 255 cutoff, which is 10 pounds extra. So I've already made that, and basically and you perfectly describe like my mentality right now, because this is my first pro debut. I have no experience to see where I fall in line with all these other really high level competitors. So I'm like, oh, I just want to go, you know what I mean? I want to be ready tomorrow, because to me, it's like I gotta give everything I got for this one because I really want to see kind of like where I fall. And then I'm gonna be going up against guys like you who are like experienced. They've already been on the Olympia stage, and so I'm like, man, I gotta really push myself. I gotta just be on it 100% of the time, and because it's almost like that anxiety from knowing that there's people like more experienced than you stepping on stage, and they've had these learning experiences. They've been there longer than you, and it's just like I almost know that I'm just a rookie and I'm at a disadvantage, but at the same time it makes me just more motivated to like work even harder, you know. So
there's a healthy way, and then there's also the bodybuilder healthy way. It's kind of like two different things, and you kind of have to like find that middle ground where you don't like just step on the gas the whole time, and then halfway through you're just done. Like I was done. So I'll probably never try that again, but it's just one of those things where I just saw you ready. I was like, holy crap, like dude's ready to go. It's a good thing. I mean, it's your first one. It's gonna be like, at this rate, there's like 30, 40 dudes in that show.
Yeah.
You want to stand out somehow, and conditioning is one way to go about it. It's just like, boom in your face.
Honestly, I don't feel like I have the same type of genetics with that super like tiny waist and broad shoulders. I have more of like a blocky kind of core, and I think with like you have like a great taper, right? So for you have that like really tiny waist that tapers up, and it flows really well, whereas like that's, you know, you look good even without the conditioning, you know what I mean? Whereas with me, I feel like I gotta get really sucked in to create that V-taper effect. And maybe, you know, we're all our own worst critics.
He's just trying to make me miss cardio. So
I'm just like, oh, it's a reverse psychology sabotage, you see. Like I want him to think that he's ready already, so he doesn't have to try hard. And then he's just like, I got this. I'm gonna beat everyone. You're good. Dude, you're fine, man. You look good right now. Don't cut, don't listen to Ray. You know, just let me stand in the middle of that stage and just please.
I used to have that thing where I would go on, like the list would come out or someone would say they're doing the show. I'll go online and like, oh, I gotta look for who this person is, and like concern, like almost like my day get dictated by what I don't talk much. I'm kind of quiet to myself. So when I see that list, I'm just like, I gotta go find who this person is. I think a friend of mine, this was like a couple years back, was like, why do you do that to yourself? It's just, why do you care who show up? Just, you're showing up. That just, I don't know, that just clicked in my brain where it became a thing where I didn't care who was showing up. I'm showing up, so whatever happens, happens. So if I show up my best, if someone beat me, it's more like I did not lose. I learned something. So it's kind of like one of those situations where I used to get nervous, but now it's like, if I lose, I learned something. Like, oh, I need to do this to get better. And that's always worked. So like every year I've gotten better at something they said I was not good at. I don't know how to explain it. It's just like, it's gonna happen regardless. If a freak of nature is gonna show up, a freak of nature is gonna show up. So you're gonna lose. So now it's like, what can I do to beat that person? Because at the end of the day, they're still human and you can beat them. So I know what he's saying, like, oh, I don't know what to expect. I'm a rookie. I've seen rookies beat. Like with my first show, I beat a bunch of like 40-year-old dudes that have been there forever. It doesn't mean anything. It's like, you can still be a rookie, and I mean, look at Hunter. Yeah, true. First year is already at the O. Yeah. Probably gonna be top 10 too, so it's like.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It doesn't really matter. It's just more, you're showing up, and you know what you've done, so it doesn't matter what the other people are doing. If you show up, you show up.
You hit the nail on the head as far as like how I think about it too. I do kind of like, can't even lie, like I do find myself doing exactly what you're describing, like going on Instagram, looking at who's coming, everything like that, and being like, okay, you know, they look like they might be, you know, one of the people to watch out for, this and that. But I also have to have that other voice in my head kind of remind me like why are you even worried about them? It's not like anything you can do within your control will dictate their outcome or how they present themselves on stage. Everything and that's part of why I like bodybuilding so much, because it is all within, the only thing you can control is yourself. And so as long as you know that you gave it 100%, it doesn't even matter who shows up. What matters is that you made it on stage, you're showing the best package that you can, and at the end of the day, that's the only thing you can control. So there's just no sense in worrying about things that are out of your control. Now, it's a little bit of a duality, because obviously there's that side of me that thinks like that, and then the other side of me that's like, nah, bro, but you wanna just win, man. But like at the same time, you know, it's finding kind of like that balance to kind of feed off each other, right? So like the part of me that wants to win also knows that if I do everything in my power, then my chances are going to be the best that they could be regardless of whatever happens. So, you know, that's just, you know, I think that a lot of pros have that mentality, and it's hard to find people who don't, because if you don't have that mentality, you don't make it far in the sport. You know what I mean? I think, you know, it's true. I think what they say is like, winning or losing feels worse than winning feels good. You know what I mean? Like, it sucks to lose, but at the same time, you don't really learn anything from winning. So, like, when you win, it's great and everything. You might still learn something, you know, maybe that's too general of a statement, but I feel like the moments that I grew the most from were the moments that beat me down the most, right? Because I had to rebuild myself up from more of a scrap pile. So it's just how I see it too. I think, to kind of go back to the question, I think everyone wants to be legendary. Everyone wants to be remembered. I'd be a liar if I said that I didn't, you know, want to make a name for myself in bodybuilding. I think right now, my goal is to do really well here and to try to, you know, make it onto the Olympia stage in the near future. And I think that I tell myself that I'll be just happy to step on the Olympia stage, just like I told myself I would just be happy to, you know, have my pro card. But it seems as if, even though I tell myself that, I get more and more nervous, and I have a new set of expectations for myself that's created every time I supersede some sort of goal that I thought would be so far away, you know what I mean? So, like, once I get to the Olympia stage, then I might be like, oh man, I'm even more nervous than I was before, because this means I could be Mr. Olympia or whatever. But I also try to, like, once again, kind of go back and remind myself, like, dude, like, there's really no point to do this if you're not enjoying the process, if you're not enjoying the journey. I used to have a teacher in my ex-phys class. He'd always say, the joy is in the journey. He was kind of old guy, but he was, you know, and it took me a while. He'd say it all the time, and I didn't realize that the word joy is literally in the word journey. Like, it just, you know, kind of clicked in my meathead brain one day, and I was like, oh,
it just clicked in my meathead brain.
Man, you can spell joy and journey.
Yeah, it literally just clicked in my meathead brain.
That's what it is, bro. That's what it is.
Oh,
it's being in the moment.
I'm so dumb.
So no, it took me like, he would like repeat it every day in class, and it took me probably like a couple months to finally get it. And it was like at the time I was graduating. But yeah, and that's what it is. It's like you have to remind yourself to be in the moment, because or else, like, why do this, right? It's like I think that we look back at the suffering fondly because we knew we grew from it. So that's kind of what it is. But at the moment, it's hard to remind yourself of that, because you're just thinking about how much it sucks to be hungry all the time.
That's coming from someone who's hungry. He needs to close out with the movie voice.
The movie voice?
Yeah, he does that movie voice.
Competitor.
Yeah.
One competition. Who will come out on top? Will it be Courage Opara or some other guy who just showed up?